Hello everyone, good day. I am Neva, and in this video, let's discuss about the testing the receptive skills. So at the end of this video, I am hoping that the student should be able to identify the different types of tests for listening and reading skills, prepare samples of each test type, and appreciate the opportunity of acquiring these testing skills as essential part of language testing. We have testing listening and testing reading. The four language skills of speaking, listening, writing, and reading are seen as interrelated skills that occur simultaneously in oral or written communication. Tests for each skill may involve not only one but two or more skills. So in general, the skill of listening may be tested in two ways: through sound discrimination and listening comprehension, according to Harris, 1969. First, we have sound discrimination. For beginners of language learning, it is more important that they are able to distinguish the sounds of the language clearly to help them understand the message they hear. In English, for example, there are several sounds that are phonetically similar but phonemically different. Words that are the same except for one sound may cause confusion to the listener who cannot discriminate these different sounds. For instance, a teacher who instructs his or her student to bring a mop the next day may find a map instead if the sound "o" instead of "ah" was heard by the student. So a common task for students in testing auditory discrimination is distinguishing sounds in minimal pairs. For beginning level groups, these are often formulated in selection test types where the examiner identifies the different sounds in a group of similar sounds except one. Examples are this: meet, met, still, still, draw, draw, feel, feel, green, green, bean, 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 cup, 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 ill, 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 hem, him, him, and peel, peel, peel. The same test types can be used for discriminating consonant sounds like b and f, b and v, sh and z, and many more. Here's another example: peel, feel, thought, thought, best, vest, sip, sip, cool, call. So, for advanced learners or for advanced level of learners, the words may be used in sentences which students will copy. Another way is asking students to identify from a group of pictures one which is referred to by the teacher in her sentences using words of similar sounds. In this test, students are expected not only to rely on their listening skills but also on their comprehension and spelling skills. Here are some examples. His coat is small. His coat is small. She bought a fan. She bought a pan. The girl drew lamp. The girl drew a lamp. I placed the pin in my pocket. I placed the pen in my pocket. The lady stood in front of the glass. The lady stood in front of the glass. The same sentences, as you observe, may be accompanied by pictures illustrating them, from which students will pick the right choice. We also have listening comprehension. Test and listening comprehension also vary according to learners' proficiency. For the intermediate group, a task may consist of responding to requests, answering questions, following directions, repeating messages, and etc. Common test types for this task are question answers, stimulus response, and listen repeat. And here are the some example for the listening comprehension. Erase the board and place the eraser on the table. Face the student behind you and shake his or her hand. Open the door and the window nearest to it. Stand in front and place both hands on the table. Take your bag and hold it with your left hand. Okay, so this may be made even simpler for beginners. And for the advanced level, task may consist of drawing inferences, listening for the gist or intent, listening for specific information, and or following a storyline or sequence of events. We also have testing reading, but my partner Rohayna will going to explain it further.
Let's proceed to the subtopic B, the testing reading. One of the most commonly tested skills in school is reading. Many qualifying examinations in elementary, secondary, and tertiary schools focus on reading or consist largely of reading comprehension. Perhaps, educators believe that one's reading proficiency is a reflection of his or her written language skills and other sub-skills, such as constructing correct sentences, using appropriate words to express ideas, organizing ideas logically, etc. Reading text may consist of following scheming to identify the gist or intent. These are scanning to locate specific information, identify a storyline, identify example presented in support of a fact of an opinion, using context to guess the meaning of unfamiliar words or structures, recognizing organizational feature of text, identifying reference of pronouns, etc. The level of complexity of the test depends largely on the types of reading passages. Text formats includes multiple choice, short answer, summary, and information transfer, etc. I have here an example for the intermediate high proficiency group or the decoding skill that enable children to read a text. So let's read about a story, Alien Creature on Earth, a Roswell Incident. In stories, alien creatures have visited the earth for thousands of years. The ancient Greeks and Romans told tales of gods who visited the earth from the heavens and who possess exceptional powers. Although science has proven that these tales are mythical, people have reported and continue to report seeing an identified flying object, or the UFOs, an extraterrestrial creature who come to Earth from outer space. Little evidence exists of most UFO sightings except for the testimony of witnesses, and without physical evidence, these people cannot prove that their experiences are true. However, a few stories are more convincing. One such event happened on July 5, 1947, near Roswell, New Mexico, USA. On July 5, 1947, Dr. Holden, a professor of Texas Tech University, and some of his students were searching for archaeological sites where they found a crushed site. He reported sight and bodies of alien creatures. Major Esley, who was stationed at the Roswell Army Field in 1947, arrived at the crash site with other military personnel. He immediately cordoned off the area around the craft, while it was checked for radiation. Once he knew that there was no danger, photographers took close-up pictures, and the military began the recovery operation. Esley and the other military personnel questioned Dr. Holden and his students about what they had seen and took them to the air base for further interrogation. Esley instructed them that because the event could threaten national security, they must not repeat the findings. Military witnesses at the site stated that the craft was about 7 meters wide and hill-shaped with scallop edges at the back and rounded nose. The impact had thorn front, so some of its interior could be seen. They described the 5 dead bodies as slender and approximately 1 to 1.5 meter tall, with very large head and long, thin arms, and definitely not human. The facial features were human-like, but the eyes were much larger than a human's and skulls were covered with fuzz, not hair. Those at the crash knew the body were human and later told other officer and family member that they had seen creatures. The bodies were put in bags and taken by the ambulance to the military base. At night, they were taken to the Washington, D.C., so the top government official could see the bodies. The craft was sent to Wright Field in Ohio, USA, where the Army could study the wreckage. To date, there is no reliable report of an attempt preliminary autopsy at the military base, and no report on the craft. So, the story is about alien creature in Roswell, New Mexico, USA. In connection with the story, here are some of the activities we could use for the intermediate high proficiency or the decoding skills that enable children to read text. First, we have a skimming to identify the gist. So, let's read the directions. Encircle the letter corresponding to the correct answer. The whole passage stated that accounts about aliens on Earth are. So here's the choices. A. Entirely true. B. Absolutely false. C. Awaiting confirmation. So this activity belongs to the multiple choice format. So here is the next activity we could use. Scanning to locate specific information. So here's the direction. Answer the following questions. Number 1, when and where did the Roswell incident happen? Number 2 is who were the direct witness of incident? Number 3, from the description of witnesses, how did the craft and the creature inside look? And number 4 is where the craft and the bodies taken and why. This activity belongs to the short answer activity. It has a question that need to be answered. So let's proceed to the next activity. The making inferences. Here's the direction. Encircle the letter corresponding to the correct answer of each sentence. So, number 1 is, it is difficult to establish the truth of the stories about the aliens because blank. So, here's the choices. A. There are no witnesses to confirm them. B. There are no physical evidence to prove them. And C. They are just product of man's imagination. So the purpose of this activity is to make a conclusion or inference, a conclusion that reach on the basis of evidence and reasoning. So the next activity is guessing meaning of unfamiliar words through context. So here's the direction. Select the most probable meaning of the underlined word based on the context within which it is used in sentence. So number 1, people have continued to report that they have seen UFOs and extraterrestrial creatures. So here's the choices. A. Horribly ugly. B. Out of this world. C. Supernatural. And D is heavenly. So in number 1, the unfamiliar words is UFOs and extraterrestrial creature. So this activity belongs to the using context to guess the meaning of the unfamiliar words. So these are the activity we could use for the intermediate high proficiency group. That would be all. Thank you for listening.